Damn.
Final Gravity, boys.
Welcome back.
Here we are again.
Woo.
Whew. Oh boy, dark beer night. This ought to be a good one. Dark beer for dark times.
It is dark beer for dark times here on Final Gravity.
Oh, man.
Listen, folks, I know you thought this was going to be a peppy show. I have to warn you, it is not. It is not
There's
that.
nothing peppy about life.
I'm happy to be sitting with you two gentlemen. I'm happy to have a good lineup of beers in front of me.
I'm happy to be alive.
That's a very big privilege right now, and I specify that word, and we'll get to that later. But it's good to see you both again. Cuzzy T, Viking Peaches, my good friend Josh.
Hey, I'm
myself,
glad I'm here in Oregon,
Bear,
and I have not been pulled away by the Gestapo. So,
not yet.
Okay.
I actually tweeted out your address, though, the other day, so good luck with that one, bro.
Oh, fuck, man.
What's the company renting them? If you see any fucking Aerostar vans coming from, what is it?
Enterprise.
Enterprise, dude. Enterprise Rentals.
Suck it, Enterprise.
Eat a dick, dude.
Fucking Rentals.
Slumming to the cops. So that's the way you got to run business now. Fuck off.
Oh, and the Marriott, whose housing said.
I am really glad that we're spending taxpayer dollars on making sure those men are comfortable. Those fucking
absolutely.
small dick
Gotta get that
pussies. I want to make sure they've got their
before
continental breakfast, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Get your bagel.
The Border
and your cream
Tactical
cheese.
Unit. Getting your bagel and cream cheese. Fucking, you want a little eggs? You want a little corned beef hash? Fuck you. Fuck you, Marriott, and fuck you, Border Tactical Unit. Fuck you. I said Border Tactical Unit. Fuck you.
Bordical testicle unit? What?
The Bordical Testicle Unit.
The board and have no testicles.
There is. We are drinking dark beer for dark times because since we're in it, we'll just say it. There's some awful shit happening right now. There's some awful shit happening.
And
Obviously,
if you
there's
don't
more
own a
than one type
television,
thing.
Good for you.
I almost think, great, you're shielded from the fact that there are federal marshals and members of the Border Controls Tactical Unit, which, as we said off the mic, what a fucking waste of taxpayer dollars that must be. Don't worry, we're going to send your kids back to school with low preparation, but we've got a Border Tactical Unit that we can disperse into a U.S. city to abduct people off the streets.
In unmarked vehicles with unmarked officers in full military gear.
Which I want to remind our dipshit president, and in a previous podcast, maybe we wouldn't have said something like that, but I'm going to say it. That is violation of the Constitution. That you have exceeded your mandate in every fucking way right now. To send unmarked federal officers to pick people up off streets. I brought it up, a list of countries that have secret police. We just got put on it. Our company, Bahrain, Belarus, China, Egypt, Iran, Jordan, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, North Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Sudan,
isn't there like
Syria,
a common denominator here?
Tajikistan,
I believe it's communism.
Turkmenistan, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, and the newest member of that list due to Operation Legend, the United States of America.
Yeah, I believe
has a secret police force now.
I feel like each one of
it's
those.
It's not a political. It is authoritarianism. It is dictatorship.
Or I was going to say
dictatorship.
Dictatorship.
The same people who would say that our president has been so strong on North Korea, so strong on China, so strong with Russia, he's doing the same thing they're doing.
The same people
he has
who
a
argue
secret
that they
police.
have to have their guns to defend themselves against government infringing on their rights.
Wake up. Wake up.
Isn't that part of the
and
Second
smell
Amendment?
the roasted malt, Smell the fucking roasted malt,
Smell
dude.
the dark ass malt.
We are doing a tasting episode
Crystal
tonight,
120.
but I told the guys and they agreed, and we had to get that out tonight for you guys. Obviously, you know where we stand now. We're not pulling any punches on that one.
Nope.
But
Put on a fucking mask. Don't be racist.
I would
don't
say
support dictatorships.
I would say to Donald Trump, if he's such a tough guy, if you want to go pull somebody off the streets of Portland, why don't you go do it your fucking self? Why don't you do it yourself? I bet the streets got a lot to say to you right now, but you're too scared to step on them, bro. So send your fucking secret police. That's all I'll do on that tangent.
I don't have a follow up to that. I agree. But
All right, guys. We'll catch you
on
next
that
time.
note,
Yeah.
Yep. Bye.
We're going to go drink
No.
alone in our rooms right now.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
No.
On that note,
Switch it
yeah,
up.
we're drinking dark beers for dark times. So
Segue.
We are,
starting off,
The classic.
coincidentally
The
with an
classic.
Oregon beer.
The
As we were
Godfather
just
beer.
talking about what really started in Oregon and is now going nationwide.
See how
but,
good we're getting at this?
We're doing good. Josh is
Yeah.
killing it.
Fucking crushing it today, guys. I was drinking daiquiris to get ready for this episode, so I'm already half cocked.
Your palate must be on point right now.
I had a wit and a gose.
Oh, my dad
earlier
was
today.
making fresh raspberry daiquiris with raspberries out of our garden.
Can will your dad adopt another child? I would love
Or
to.
two.
Hey guys, if everything goes to shit, just come out here. We'll build a commune. Fuck it.
Oh man.
Tell you what, there's definitely gonna be. It's gonna be good beer and good weed.
That's right.
Amen to that. Yeah, so we're drinking Black Butte Porter, local
Round
Oregon
one.
beer from Deschutes Brewery,
Get
as
it.
our first dark beer of this Dark Times episode.
Solid.
Deschutes, we've talked about it before. Deschutes, amazing brewery, one of the OGs, and certainly on the West Coast for craft beer and for really kind of reinvigorating not just one style like is kind of common today, but really having it across the board. And I know Josh, because you're a fan of red chant and things, you'll agree with me. Across the board, man,
Yeah,
their
they
beers
do
are
have a very good.
They have a
broad
good lineup,
range.
broad range. They do a lot of things very well. I know on the show I've said this is the first beer I ever drank with my dad, and at the time I hated it, and now I find it very nostalgic and awesome.
I
Black
just
Butte
enjoyed
Porter.
hearing the stories about you guys in Black Butte.
It's home.
It's a great fucking beer.
5.5% alcohol. They're claiming 30 IBUs. We all know how I feel about that scale. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But
I would say like 42 by my palate.
I'll go with
What the
43 and a
fuck
half.
Sorry, man. Like studying for this like Cicerone stuff has like made my brain mushy.
it's got a great color. It's what a porter should look like in a glass. It's
Yep.
got
Black.
a little red hue on the outside, right where the light hits it, but it is black.
Mm-hmm. It's got a good tan, beigey colored head.
Tan beige the other head. Mine dissipated pretty quick. But
Yours having better luck than mine.
I was kind of nursing mine a little bit with
Mine went
the,
away a little bit.
it's got a light head, which that doesn't always indicate flaw of any kind. But
No, I still
I
like the carbonation has got. There's a good mouthfeel to the carbonation to like malt and
yeah,
viscosity of the beer.
weight of the beer is good, flavor's good. It's coffee.
Mhm.
It's very very distinctly coffee to me. I don't get a whole lot of sweet undertones of anything like chocolate or caramel. It's very distinctly coffee malt to me.
I don't get chocolate or caramel. I get some toffee notes on the back
Do
though.
you?
Coffee and toffee.
See, I get more of like that burnt, roasted.
I get some roasty burnt.
Coffee.
The nose is, and I mean,
not
obviously
burnt in
this
a
is,
bad way, but
yeah. The nose is almost nothing. It's just you can kind of smell dry black malt to me, which that's a classic '90s porter through and through. You really start to dig into it on the flavor. I could see toffee, Josh. I can see toffee, but I can almost see it in like the burnt sugar way, right? Like when the candy thermometer's spiking, you're hitting toffee, but then you're starting to go to scorch.
It's kind of like that. You just get that little bit of like toffee crumble on your coffee cake.
That's a good descriptor. I like that. Coffee cake is a good descriptor. I like that because that covers both. Yeah, it's dry too.
It is.
As a porter fan, and as a porter fan who started with this porter, this would not be the porter I would brew today. I would like something a little. I tend to think of my porters as a little weightier than my stouts in terms of chew.
I think a lot of people are misconceived by that. Like they feel like stout should be like it's stout, like it's supposed to be.
I don't think that's the rise of like adjunct stouts and salted caramel stouts and marshmallows. And like a stout, generally the original distinction between a stout and a porter, and we'll dig into this more later, is the addition of roasted malt, of roasted barley, which would provide a very dry, astringent flavor. And stouts were called a stout porter. They were a imperial porter. They were a stronger porter. So you had more alcohol. You had roasty dryness. That I don't believe the original stouts were big, chewy beers. I believe they were very, palatable, high alcohol beers with a lot of roast flavor, and therefore a little dry. That's my own personal interpretation of what I've read, but and that's also what I like to drink in terms of stouts. So when I want a porter, I kind of want that. I've always read the porter description to be, it was the working man's beer of London, and it was a cheap beer. And actually, I believe traditionally porters were made from a running of, usually you'd go to your tavern and they'd have a pale and an amber and a black, essentially, cask tap. And the porter was a 3 butts porter. It was a running of all 3. That would, and I'm sure I'm goofing some history there, but generally that was, in London, that was widely accepted to be the practice. And so I've always imagined a porter having a little bit, although lower alcohol, a little bit of viscosity to it and a little bit of seductive kind of. I like porters with a little bit more underlying sweetness than this. And I will fully acknowledge I like dry beer, but this is great. Yeah. It's a great beer.
I think the blend of the dryness of the beer plays really well with like the smoky, casky coffee astringency that is the flavor profile for this beer, I don't disagree that like a level of sweetness would be delightful in this. I just think that like that dryness definitely plays well.
And I don't hate it because it's dry. I love dry beers, but this is it's been a while since I've drank this beer, I think. And I think like the game of telephone, every time I think about this beer, I change it a little bit in my head,
believe
because I change it to what I want to be.
I don't know if we ever featured it on any of the episodes from the old show, but I know that we definitely did We
did the vertical tasting. That was the first episode I ever did with you guys.
Yeah.
We did a vertical tasting of Black Butte barrel-aged porters.
Yep.
Which were much... This is nothing like the barrel-aged version.
Nothing like this.
Again, alcohol notwithstanding, those were bigger, richer, very complex, very... we drank some big beers that night,
we drank a lot. And there wasn't a lot of it. It was just a lot of big beer.
No, but this just the standard Black Butte in a bottle. It honestly, even though it's been 80 degrees out all day today, 95 for the last week here in Bend, it's a beer that I could drink at that temperature of the day.
It's a drinkable porter, and it's a good porter at a cold temperature, or like to have at a cold temperature on a hot day.
Yeah,
I will give it that.
See, and I would think that
absolutely give it that.
The sweeter version of the porter that you're talking about would be more of like a fall winter,
right? And that's I drink seasonally, I brew seasonally.
Yeah,
the original porter's coming from like Scotland and London, and where there's usually a good colder and rainier that I do like on a consistent basis.
There's a mineral content to it that is aiding the black malt and keeping me coming back for more sips. It's fun. It's fun to drink. I'm not gonna not. I still love it. It's not, again, I would fully say this is not the porter I would brew today or the first porter I would reach for, but I'm happy I'm drinking it. It's kind of, it's hitting me back on the palate as that nostalgic feel of that first beer too. It's just such a good intro. We're leading the episode off right. It's a good intro porter. If you're looking for porter, if you want to understand porter, I would start with Black Butte. I don't think I could find a better example of just the classic American representation of the style.
No.
And it's a good one that you can find just about anywhere in America too. Like, no matter where you live, if you're listening to us right now, if you want a good porter, you could probably find Black Butte in your grocery
consumed
store.
Porter in the U.S. or the most commonly purchased porter in the U.S.
Yeah, Josh, if you got that, I don't think I'm.
See if I can find.
White people problems. I don't have the internet. Cancel the episode.
First world issues.
Bahrain has the internet. We only have a secret police.
Top rated beers, porter, American.
Not sure what that means, but let's
go.
Sorted by weighted rank.
I'm trying to cut a few pounds, Josh. Thanks for pointing that out to the audience.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either. It's on Beer Advocate, so let's see here. Number 1 is the Everett Porter from Hill Farmstead Brewery. Last Snow by Funky Buddha Brewery. Maple Bacon Coffee Porter by Funky Buddha.
Farmstead.
Twilight of the Idols by Hill Farmstead. And Vanilla Joe
good
by
for Hill
Santa
Farmstead.
Andreas.
Straight up. One of the best breweries in the world. If you ever have a chance to get a bottle of Hill Farmstead, no matter what it is, get that bottle. Get that bottle. You will be shocked. The sticker price will shock you originally. It will not shock you when you're done drinking that beer.
Like I should have bought 2.
I hope someday we can do an episode of Hill Farmstead beers. That's a goal.
Maybe if they send them to us.
Hill Farmstead, if you're listening, we love you. I think you are deserving of the reputation, and you're most often rewarded as one of the best breweries in the world.
Yeah, I would love to experience your beer.
We'd pay. I'd pay to have your beer on the show.
Send it to us. Get a hold of us. Final Gravity, Whitefish, Montana.
Okay. We're still drinking a top 20
Black Butte Porter by Deschutes Brewery,
and it's good.
13 on the list.
Guys, it's good. Here's something that from a brewing perspective, and I know we're doing more of a tasting episode, I would say too, is maybe some of that dryness is coming from this is a modern American porter, so it showcases some hop notes to it too.
Mm-hmm.
And I love hops. But it definitely showcases hops right alongside the dark malt. And if I was brewing a porter tomorrow, maybe I'd probably lead with black malt and kind of say, but like I get the noble hop character they have in here, and I get a very clean bitterness right alongside everything. And it's really helping balance the beer and make it very fun for me to drink.
It doesn't say anywhere on the bottle what they use, does it? I think I looked at that already.
It's not on the bottle, and it's Deschutes, and we looked at it. I remember us looking at it with I bet you that's a Tettnang, or it feels noble. It feels very noble. I'm not going to call it, but Tettnang Saaz, Strisselspalt, something like that. It feels Hallertau. It feels noble because I get a slight twinge of menthol. I get a slight tinge of just greenery and herbaceousness, and I get a good spice from it. Mm. There's kind of almost a root beery note to the back end of this beer that is or sassafrasy note, and I think that's a combination of acidic black malts and
not to be
green hops.
Gross about this, but as I
burped it back up,
I totally got exactly what you were talking about. It's got like a root beery.
It's a root beery note too,
like a sassafras. Yeah, that was interesting.
And interestingly enough, now that you say that, like I didn't make this connection initially, but with you saying that, Deschutes Brewery, I don't know if they still do or not, but they actually for a long time made their own root beer. That's when I was growing up as a kid, we went to Deschutes for every single every year for my dad's birthday or like family get-togethers and stuff. As a kid, I would always get the home brewed Deschutes root beer. It actually has a lot of that. It
definitely skews
on the back
end.
For me. The sweetness in it tends to remind me of that Deschutes root beer flavor.
Roasty Mr. Pibb.
It's been a long time since I've had Mr. Pibb.
So I
got 1 out of 3.
Cascade, Bravo, and
Cascade does not surprise me. Cascade, for those of you beer nerds out there, Cascade when it was first introduced in the United States, and two of the most famous beers using it are obviously Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and Anchor Steam IPA. Cascade was kind of heralded as the American noble hop. What we found as we began using it was when we crushed it raw, it smelled a lot like its lineage from Europe, but it tasted nothing like that. We had all these wild flavors, but it doesn't shock me that Cascade's in it. Bravo's an interesting one, but that's a more high alpha acid variety that I think a lot of breweries are using for just for bittering. So I could fully believe they probably adapted their recipe to get most of their IBUs from Bravo, and then they're just hitting it with the Tettnang and the Cascade for a little bit of complexity. Yeah,
the Bravo's probably like a Whirlpool. Cascade probably lasts 15. Flavor. The Tettnang probably goes in about 30, 40.
I actually bet you they're pushing the Tettnang forward. I bet the Bravo's literally their first hop edition. Put those high for a brewery that's making beer on this scale. They work on the economy of scale, and so if you've got a hop that can give you 20 IBUs just by adding a sprinkle of it in at 60 minutes, then you're just going to use that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm a pub brewer, so I don't necessarily agree with that persuasion. But if you're brewing, hundreds of thousands of barrels a year, that's how you do it. That's what you do. You get a bag of very bitter hops, and you just salt and pepper that shit from the beginning. Everything else is on the back end.
Mm.
You're brewing 10-barrel batches. You're really crafting those batches. When you're brewing
it's a different science.
Batches,
it's not that they're not really again,
it's a different science. It's a different thing that you're
how much I love that beer. But and I'm sure it's changed since the first time I've had it because Bravo wasn't even really around back then. But when you're brewing on a big scale and trying to craft things with consistency and precision, it becomes more about those numbers. 18, 19, 20% alpha acids. Well, that I know I can get my product exactly where I need it to be, and then I'll just flavor it at the end. So it does really become about that. If you're brewing it on 10 barrels, like Josh said, you're thinking more about like, well, this will be fun. I get to use something different. Who cares if it turns out different? But when you're filling a 240, when you're filling a big fermenter and you're just like, this is what we're putting out. It has.
When you're packing,
and not only most popular, but therefore most sold.
In the United States,
the minute you empty that tank, you're filling it with porter again.
For everyone in the United States,
so you're pulling out that same fucking hop set, and you're just making sure everything's exact. Good job, Deschutes. This was the first beer I ever came into contact with that was craft.
Well done.
I drank it today again, and it's fun. It's a good beer. It's a dark beer, and it's easy to drink. Fun to drink. So,
yeah, I give it 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5? Okay.
Solid.
I'd give it, if we're going to go out of a 5 ranking, this is the first time I think we've used the 5-star ranking, but we'll use it tonight.
But we haven't used a specific ranking. It changes each time.
I'll throw it a 4 right off the bat, and that's for nostalgia, and that's for ease of drinking, and that's for acknowledging that if I'm around this product every day, I obviously get very biased about it. I try and remove that, but it's a good porter. It's a good goddamn porter. That's where I'm going to stay with that. It's a good goddamn porter.
It certainly is.
What did you guys want to surprise us?
I'll cheers to that.
I didn't do the shopping today. I don't know what I can't remember. We have several good beers.
Which is your lower ABV?
Josh, you should just choose the next beer since it's 85 degrees in your camper trailer, and we're asking you to drink imperial-sized beers right now. We love you, Josh. We love you. That's what we're doing right now. This is about love.
God.
He's got the bottles. He's thinking about it. Breakside Brewing out of Portland, Oregon.
I guess we're going with Breakside next. the choice
we're giving Oregon some favor right now. It needs it. It obviously needs it. Actually, coincidentally, we're giving Oregon some favor, and we ended up talking about a situation.
Those beers might actually be the exact same percentage, but because of the way you can label your beers.
Fair. That's fair. So, just to describe to the audience out there, Thomas went over to the store the other day, and I was on the phone with him. We were just talking about what brands I had available at the liquor store I was going to go to buy beer for this episode. And so the next two beers, although they're based on the same primary beer, they're different variants of them. So the next one we're going to be drinking is Breakside's Cultivated Mass. They've got just the standard Cultivated Mass. I've got one that's called the Cultivated Mass Fluffy Bunny, which is, so the standard one is an imperial porter aged in bourbon barrels.
See, this is
but mine also has smoked marshmallows and cacao nibs in it.
The limited selection of craft beer that we get in Montana.
We talk about it. Hill Farmstead just send us some beer, man. We'll have a better episode. We can do this better with better beer.
Yeah. Me and CJ are in Whitefish. Josh is in Bend. Get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, Fluffy Bunny is also the page 69 in the Kama Sutra. I don't know if you guys have read that.
While we're getting ready for this one,
text. The Fluffy Bunny is something that you are going to want to do some squats before.
69 is my favorite page.
I could believe that.
There's so many things.
All right, so, Josh, were you going to give us some?
I'll just really quickly read about the beer off its label. My version of it is 10% alcohol by volume. I believe Thomas said your guys' is 9%. 30 IBU. Mine is 2020 vintage. Beer style, Baltic style porter. Barrel type, aged in bourbon barrels. Number of casks. I think it's interesting that they include this. This specific blend was 9 casks used in the blend. So for those people who don't know, every cask will turn out a little bit different, but if you blend more and more of them together, you get different flavors out of that. And you can neutralize that to make it more normal. So this is a 9 cask batch aged for 16 months and special ingredients, smoked marshmallows and cacao nibs. It doesn't say they're adjuncts. It said special ingredients. So they actually use those ingredients in it.
This particular version.
Whoa, hey. Freud was
what
right.
You guys got going over there?
This particular version is a 2020 vintage.
Oh.
10.9% Baltic
We
style
got
porter.
10.9.
Baltic style porter, bourbon barrel aged type with 43 casks used in blend.
So mine's a smaller batch.
And was yours still, is it labeled as a Baltic porter? Is that what they're labeling it as?
Baltic style porter.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so,
aging time was 24 months.
Sweet. So I'm going to jump real quick over to, again, something we'll probably cover more of next episode. But for those of you curious about that denotion, Baltic-style porters, and forgive me if this is off the cuff. We didn't have a lot of preparation for this dark beer episode. Baltic porters are essentially lagered. They were porters that were, much like the India Pale Ale was brewed, a pale ale brewed to ship and transport safely. The Baltic porter was the same way. It was a strong porter brewed out of London that was brewed to condition and cask before it reached its destination, which obviously does change the brewing procedures, especially back in, we'll just call it 14 fucking whatever. So you have
that's a specific date.
You have this, it's very
you can
specific.
Look that up.
You have essentially a lagered porter. It goes through still ale fermentation, but then it is intended for maturation, we'll call it. And at that time, it would have been maturation in oak casks for a specific or long period of time, which to make beer safely at that rate means higher alcohol, higher hopping rates, and some other small little groovy tricks you can make to make beer taste very good at that long period of time. So that is Baltic porter that we're about to start digging into. And just segue back into an old episode about IBUs. We rarely get this opportunity, or we haven't yet. We just drank Deschutes Black Butte Porter, which was 30 IBUs at 5.5%. We're both about to drink Baltic Porters at 30 IBUs, way above that, both in terms of body, spectrum, and alcohol. So This is why, to our listeners, I feel like the IBU scale is a little tilted in the wrong direction for the consumer. Because I guarantee you this beer will not be nearly as dry, crisp, or bitter, thank you, sir, as the last one.
Nope.
Josh, and your marshmallows might really throw that one off. I don't know what IBUs do to marshmallows.
And this has got that same, I mean, it may be the red lighting in here as well that's affecting the way that we're seeing this.
I wanted to break into Roxanne right there.
I will say, with my more normalized lighting, although a different variant of the beer, this is darker. This is significantly darker. And to the listeners out there, I apologize if I become incoherent halfway through this episode.
How's your brain function doing, buddy?
Wow. Not great. Started out with rum, and then I'm going into porters.
The nose on this is crazy.
It's chocolate-covered raisins all the way. That's exactly what it smells. It smells like Raisinets. It's chocolate-covered Raisinets.
Cherry cough syrup in there, too.
I get that. I think that's very common in dark, strong beers. That's ethanol. Yeah. That's
Yep.
That's
it's like
high fusel alcohols.
Chocolate covered cherries and chocolate covered raisins are in the box together.
Something nutty, almost without. I know butter's a very, very awful word. It's not butter, but there's something almost like almond buttery or just like stewed nuts. And that's a terrible phrase too, but roasting nuts is where I'm going to leave that at.
Roasted nuts.
What's it? Hard or boiled peanuts? That's a thing, right?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, that is delightful.
Mine is
that does not drink like
on the head. It's sweet and alcohol on this one for me.
Okay. What do you like? I know we're smelling and tasting very far away. We're tasting two different beers. Yours has some special additions to it. Are you getting aromatics that remind you in any way of, gosh, if I think about smoked marshmallow, like s'mores or burnt like campfire, anything wonderful about that?
Do you get like burnt sugar? Like that campfire, like
the flavor I'm getting or the smell I'm getting is it's less so of burnt marshmallow or like campfire marshmallow, and it's more so of like marshmallow fluff. Like if you were to empty a jar of marshmallow fluff, like totally out, and then you rinse it just a little bit so it's out of the marshmallow, but it still has its scent to it, and then you get that like lightened scent of marshmallow. That's the head I'm getting on this.
I mean, I'd throw that out as a respect to. I really don't like breweries that use those kind of kitschy flavors and use them just to taste like one thing. If you're just getting this kind of subtle hint of it, I think that sounds pretty fucking rad to me.
I feel like to me, like there's a difference between like marshmallow and marshmallow fluff.
Are we thinking marshmallow fluff like Mr. Peeps? Is that like we're saying? Because I hate that.
No. Marshmallow fluff is the stuff that came in a fucking
it's
plastic
like a can
tub.
of like fluff,
the can
marshmallow
of fluff.
cream.
Yeah. But did that smell different?
I'm just asking.
For
me, I thought it tasted completely different than regular marshmallows because the outside of a regular marshmallow has like that dry texture to it.
Dry sugariness to it.
Oh,
marshmallow fluff is like if you were to melt a bunch of marshmallows together.
Well, it's all creamy, right? It's all like,
yeah.
So is that taste or is that texture that you guys' brain is
I think
going
it's
to?
both.
Okay.
Because there's like a soft powdering on the outside of like the camp marshmallows, and I can't always tell.
I was never, by the way, I was never a kid who just ate marshmallows. Like I ate marshmallows and we had them on graham crackers and Hershey's.
I was that kid who scorched them to fucking death and ate the blackened marshmallow, but I'd replace the Hershey's with peanut butter cups. Reese's on my s'mores.
That's dope.
Yeah, dude, for those Reese's s'mores all the way. Come on, let's go.
I was such a little.
God! I'm so glad I'm going camping this weekend.
The cook in me is now mad at my childhood because I was so afraid of burning my marshmallow because I didn't like that taste. And I'm like, that's the best fucking part, dude. What were you doing wrong? No, I would get mine lightly brown on the outside, and I was ready to eat my Hershey's and graham cracker. Like that was my game.
It's got to be black on the outside because it's all gooey and gross in the middle. And then there's that charred campfire taste. It's all comes together.
I know. But as a kid, I didn't know that, and I didn't have anyone teaching me that. My parents were just like, "Oh, that's the way you want to eat it. That's the way you want to eat it."
Cooking marshmallows.
I don't know.
Well
I got yelled at in the Boy Scouts for trying to do that.
I was never.
Interestingly enough, if you look back at me and my brother's history, just in everything, in schooling and anything else, the only way I think you could actually predict how the two of us turned out is the way we cooked our marshmallows. Like now that I think about this. Because I was the straight A student in school, I was the valedictorian in high school, going to engineering school in college, and yet I'm the ski bum living in a camper trailer building out the back of my truck for more ski bummery. My brother, C's and D's all the way through school, couldn't figure out college for a long time, took 8-9 years to finish, but he's the high-paid computer programmer. But he would always diligently cook his marshmallows to a golden brown crisp. While I was just throwing them into the fucking fire and letting them light up.
This is delicious. This is a goddamn good beer. This is what I think of when I think of porter. And maybe I just have created this definition of Baltic porters being the way that I want it to be. But this beer is aged to perfection. It is smooth. It is round. It has all these clean qualities you could associate with a dark lager, and it is all these full, rich flavors.
Are you getting a lot of dark red fruit?
I'm certainly getting dark red fruit. I'm getting dried fruit more than anything. I think that without the artificialness of it, again, I think that chocolate covered raisinets is the best way I could describe the aroma on this beer. But as you get into it, there is a beautiful astringency, not bitterness, but astringency. It's running on the backbone that is akin to good espresso. I still
get the cherry, but I still
red fruit. I could.
But, I still get the cherry kind of cough syrupy because it's a little boozy. That bourbon barrel age really kind of opens up that ethanol kind of profile for me.
What I will respect about this is the barrel blend is outstanding because the barrel is not standing in front of the beer in any way.
No,
I actually kind of forgot this was bourbon barrel aged.
I will agree with that on this one.
I forgot it was bourbon barrel aged, and I think that's a wonderful thing because I don't want my bourbon barrel aged beers to just taste like fucking bourbon barrel and vanilla. The vanilla's there, but it's such an underlying note. The barrel and the wood is there, but it's such an underlying note. I didn't even think about it for the first few times I was sipping this beer. This is dank, and everything that anyone who knows Breakside should expect from Breakside.
Expect all of that and more because this beer is fucking delicious.
And I really also, as a beer enthusiast, I can gas out pretty quick on big beers. It's just hard to drink them. At over 10%, it's very easy to drink.
Yeah, it's more of it's not like a medium or heavy bodied beer. It's got a medium feel, but there's this light body that kind of cuts through the middle of your tongue.
The finish is so good, dude. This is fully fermented. I mean, this is nice.
Yeah, it hangs out on the side of your tongue, but the middle of your tongue cleans out super quick.
Josh, is your adjunct version, not adjunct, but adjusted flavors, if you will, version of this on that same note? Are you enjoying this enough to If you had one, have another.
I would say, just trying to taste through the flavors of it, like, because I can very clearly pick out the marshmallow. The cacao nibs are a lot more subtle than the marshmallow.
Okay.
But that's a lot more back end of the throat. You get the cacao on the back end.
Okay.
If I could have this without the marshmallow and just the cacao, or the no additive version, like just if I ignore the marshmallow flavor on it, it's a really fucking good beer. For me, the marshmallow brings a lot more sweetness than I really like. But
gotcha. See, not tasting what you have, I was kind of on that same train where I was thinking to myself, like, I wouldn't have added anything to this.
Yeah,
no,
that's the thing.
This is plenty complex on its own.
If I could have this without, like, because I can clearly pick out the marshmallow flavor on it. So, like, thinking about the flavors that are there beyond the marshmallow, it's fucking great beer. I would totally drink another. I would drink this entire bottle, even on an 85-degree day.
It is a very drinkable heavy beer.
The marshmallow's a little bit much for me, but I mean, again, that's just that sweetness of the adjunct version. So.
And that's a kitsch, and I guess you guys have given me enough confidence. We're on a beer platform to talk about how I feel about beer. Once the craft beer revolution hit, there myself included, there was a lot of people who jumped onto these ideas of what we could do with beer, and I still believe it's very important we jump onto these ideas of beer. But the marshmallow thing, it could almost die, right? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't see a platform really in any kind of beer where marshmallow is an appropriate flavor from a marshmallow. There's some ingredients out there that could give you a little bit of that idea. I actually think that there's a wonderful product called Midnight Wheat for our homebrewers out there that is a roasted wheat malt that can give you that kind of pillowy, succulent feeling of marshmallow. But it
used properly in conjunction with.
But you don't need to jam marshmallows into your fermenter.
No.
And they can create, like Josh is saying, that kind of very cloying, overt sweetness, which I think is, in the same way that salt did it for cooking, it kind of dumbs down the palate. If something's just sweet and sticky, of course your brain tells you that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Your brain's like, yeah, woo, hell yeah, I love sugar. It's why I get a iced cold brew coffee with vanilla flavor in every morning. I'm like, yeah. But that isn't actually what good or honest flavor is. Honest flavor has to come from a process of taking an ingredient that is that needs some work and really putting it in there. And I'm not begrudging. Look, I work in the industry and we do things all the time to make beer taste good. Some of them are honest processes and some of them are questionable.
Yeah.
But people love it.
A little bit.
But I take the most pride in the honest processes. So, Breakside, I'm gonna give what I'm drinking a 4 out of 5. I think that's a very strong rating. It's a Baltic Porter. It's fucking tasty. It's viscous. It's rich, but it finishes well. It finishes light. It finishes very playful. And there is a range of flavors coming across here.
And it's not a muddled mess.
It's not a muddled for what we have 42 different casks.
There's a very balanced
this is fantastic
flavor profile across the board.
But I know I think I know after talking to him what my homie Josh is drinking right now. She's drinking almost this, but what you did was you put too much into it.
See, I would give mine.
Should have just left it alone.
I would give this one a 3.5 out of 5. So I think it's extremely well done. Obviously, I mean 7 out of 10 if you boost that up to that scale. I think it's super well done. I think it's a good balance. I love the base beer. But I'm sitting here wishing I was drinking what you guys are drinking, not what I'm drinking, right? Like,
I wish that we had what you had, because I want to say that, like, I want to give this beer a solid 4, but I feel like if I were drinking the beer that Josh was drinking, I would totally agree and be like, yeah, this is probably, like, a little bit much on the marshmallow. It's a little bit over the top, and probably, go back to, like, a 3.5. So, man, we really got to get the next tasting on fucking point.
We got to get in front of it instead of like 3 days in front of it.
You boys want to take a quick little music break?
Quick little music break would be good.
I'm down. Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna play another Whitefish local band, my buddy Brett Jameson and the Sorted Seeds.
There's people holding healthy signs. Junkies
check these guys out on Spotify as well.
Hipsters
we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Drinking exotic tea. Hippies dance and talk about peace. And the government, he don't stand a chance. But darling, would you take this dance? I haven't seen the sun since I left your house and the white picket fence. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. And there's one-way streets, but they ride their bikes. All the thieves, they come out at night. When it rains, it pours away their alibi. Girl next door, all she does is cry. Track and field is for Prefontaine. Died too young, but they run in his name. His Olympic gold was like a crashing plane. Runs at night, you can hear him say, me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene. Rain falls softly, slowly, but it comforts me. Gently on my rooftop, I begin to dream of just you and me, how it used to be, but I'm stuck in Eugene. Me and Eugene, yeah. Me and Eugene. Me and Eugene, Springfield's just 6 miles away. I'm all out of time and I cannot stay. Lord on my mind and it feels so great. Gotta get out before I fade away. Leaving Eugene. Leaving Eugene. Leaving Eugene. Leaving Eugene.
All right. Nice little music break there. Again, it was
He's got
Jameson.
a killer voice, dude.
He's got such a good voice.
And his saxophone player, she is a whaler. God, she knows how to fucking blend that shit in, dude. She is a great, having been someone who played saxophone in high school, she's a great saxophone player for rock and pop music because she knows exactly where she's got to fold in. It adds a lot. Their music has a lot of dynamics. They're growing every day. They're great.
For as small of the town as Whitefish is, it has some amazingly talented musicians.
And the diversity among that, you've got everything.
And the acceptance of that, too. Amongst in a small town, you'd think there'd be people being like, what, you're playing that? Everyone is treating everyone right out here.
No, there's reggae, there's hip-hop, there's bluegrass, there's punk, there's funk. There's everything in Whitefish, man.
You've got jazz quartets, or trios, I guess you could say. Sorry about that, Barrel Storm. There's a lot of music out here, and the majority, I would say, about 90% of those musicians are just really, really good.
They are.
There are the 10%ers where, I fall more into that because I am not a great musician. I am more of an engineer than a musician, and I am fine with saying that for as long as I've been kind of playing bass. But I was always blown away moving out here, just seeing how well, and not even so much like the diversity of the music, but how much the people that follow each of those bands crosses over.
Oh yeah.
When you're from bigger city areas, like myself, when you're, close to New York, and Josh, you're close to Portland, and where you grew up also near, where was it that you grew up again? Sorry, I'm a bad friend sometimes.
All over. But Portland, Oregon is a good place to start.
So like you had like your groups of people, like not often did you see the same person at two very different type of concerts. Like punks went to punk shows.
Yeah.
Rockers went to rock shows.
That is an interesting point to make. Everyone goes to shows out here.
Everyone goes to every show out there, man.
There's a bluegrass show on Friday, and I'll see one of my good friends down there. The following night, there's a funk band.
We're there too.
Wednesday night, there's a jazz group, and they're out there eating dinner. Like, I'm like, okay, so like, not only do people dig music out here, but they dig all kinds of music, and they've got nothing but love for all of it. Anyway, back into it, and on to our last beer.
Last beer of the night.
North Side. Or North Coast. North Coast. Sorry, I misspoke. North Coast Brewing.
San Bernardino? San Diego?
Fort Bragg.
Well, okay. Sometimes you swing and sometimes you miss.
Fort Bragg, California, 95437.
When you were in the state. I know it's
when we change that military base's name, we'll have to change the city's name as well.
Oh, no. Womp, womp.
Oh, by the way, I'm for it. I'm just, if someone didn't catch the sarcasm out there, I'm fucking for it.
Let's change it. Fuck it, let's go.
All right, let's crack this bad boy.
Crack this bad boy, because this is, and we have not called it on the show before, but this is another Godfather beer. When it comes to, God person beer. When it comes to beers that have made a high impact in what we define as a style, this is a
the Old Rasputin.
The Old Rasputin.
The RIS
is a big boy stout, right?
I'll be entirely honest. I never actually drank the Old Rasputin until I moved to Montana.
Okay.
First time I had it was out in Montana. Actually, with Thomas, hanging out at the tap house.
Yep, we were at the tap house, buddy.
Yep, Old Rasputin.
And now, you guys we both have variations of the Old Rasputin. Neither of us actually have the original version.
Nope, this one is the black and gold label, 22-ounce bottle, 9% alcohol. Says never say die at the bottom. I can dig that.
Wow.
Never say die, Old Rasputin.
Out of what we were just talking about, Fort Bragg, California.
Fort Bragg.
Yep. I've got the 16.9 fluid ounce bottle. Old Rasputin, stout aged in rye whiskey barrels.
Whoa.
21 version. So that one's sitting at a 11.2%.
Oh boy.
So I'd imagine then that, like so many of our favorite breweries who are doing these kind of things, they have the Old Rasputin, and they have this kind of chameleon version of it they also release, where they either barrel age or adjust or play with some things on the
they take the base
Rasputin.
beer and fuck with it, which is
not unlike
it's fun to do.
The Black Butte that we were drinking earlier, and that has
correct.
Like what is it, like 6 or 7? No, they've got like 10, don't they?
Black Buttes? Well, they have barrel aged anniversary Black Butte for every year they've been open, so they're over 20 on that one. And
or even the Cultivating Mass.
The last one was 30.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
So
they have
tons.
Shit.
Or even like the Breakside's Cultivating Mass. I was drinking a different version than you guys. Right. But I decided to pour myself a pint of 11.2%. So let's
go. Bottoms up, buddy. Bottoms up.
This smells fucking delightful, dude.
It's a beautiful black color. There is the tiniest hint of ruby highlights at the very bottom of it. This is the first beer we've cracked where I've got some head sticking around.
Mine dissipated kind of quick, but it's
could be from the pour, could be from the initial burst, but I've still got a quarter finger's worth of very beautiful tan head sticking around.
This smells so clean. That smells so clean.
See, to me, Josh, this smells like marshmallows, but it smells nothing like cloying sweet marshmallows. This smells very much like campfire roast and marshmallows. And hey, disregard the placebo effect, but no, like this is what I'm talking about. Is like, here is a beer where I believe, and shit, maybe some nerd out there will call me on this, that I'm imagining this is just barley, yeast, water, and hops. And the initial burst I get is campfire beer, and not in a smoky way, but more in that like, oh, chocolate, marshmallow, a little bit of graham cracker, a little bit. I mean, this smells kind of s'moresy to me, honestly.
See, I don't get so much the marshmallow, but I definitely get the graham cracker, campfire, but I get a little smoky.
Ooh, I get some smoke on the flavor.
Yeah,
for sure.
And as it like kind of dissipates out, like that smoke flavor kind of punches through a little bit more, like.
This is good. This is as good as I always remember the Old Rasputin to be.
Fantastic beer.
This is super tasty.
I'm glad we got to this.
I don't get this is in body wise, funny enough as it is to say, this is a blend between the Deschutes and the Breakside for me in that it is obviously a bigger beer. I get the alcohol. I get this graham cracker note, which to me always reminds me of Pilsner malt, but it's drier. This is a drier, roastier stout. There's definitely a line of bitterness and astringency running through this that kind of cleans out the sip.
Finished a little bit lower, like 2-3 Plato. You know, could have used a different type of, like, more of like an English yeast.
This is, I like it. I like it. For me, this is what a stout should be. This is what a stout should be. Yeah, this is dope. I'm getting into this.
Not to discredit Guinness because they make a great beer. But that is the common misconception of what everyone thinks a stout is supposed to taste like.
That's a very specific stout.
It's a very specific stout. And it tastes way better if you're not drinking it in the United States.
It does. So, honestly, anything would at this point in time.
Not the point I was making, but Guinness in Ireland does taste better for those people who are...
Guys, if you didn't realize on the show, at least 1/3 of the show skews very, very left, and I'm sorry to have to break that to you tonight on the tasting episode.
I think about 3/3 of this show are.
This is good.
What?
Right off the bat, you got a chance to make a bottle of this. If you like dark beer, this is good.
This is like an after river day. Like next to the campfire.
It's an end of dinner beer for sure.
Like kick your feet up, dry your clothes off, dry yourself off.
It's not as sweet as the Baltic Porter, and obviously it shouldn't be. But this is more of an end of the night beer to me. This is more of a I'm sitting down, I'm chilling, which I am.
No, see the Baltic Porter. Like I would drink the Deschutes with dinner, have the Baltic Porter with dessert, and then have the Old Rasputin next to the fire to finish out the night with a cigar.
Yeah, this is good.
That's
really good.
And I don't want to say like that's my ranking for these beers for the night to go like 1, 2, 3, but that's definitely like I would. That's how it would break down for me. I would have the Black Butte with my dinner, probably like a steak and some potatoes. You know, a small little snifter glass of that Baltic Porter from Breakside alongside dessert, probably some sort of like raspberry cheesecake. Complement those sweet flavors, and then a good dry cigar. And this shit from North Coast.
Do you guys get toasted honey on the nose? You guys picking up honey at all?
Well, I'm going to be entirely honest. We're drinking two very, very different beers at this point.
For the versions...
Yeah, that's fair. Again, Josh, what do you remind me what you have over there, and can we get you in this conversation?
They're the Old Rasputin aged in rye whiskey barrels.
Oh yeah, okay. So game changer right there. Talk to us about the barrel.
So
what are you getting?
The head smells like whiskey.
Sweet.
Which, I mean, for anyone who knows me, I'm not fucking complaining when I say that. I love rye whiskey. Drinking it tastes like rye whiskey with a hint of Old Rasputin.
Oh.
So the barrel's heavy.
Essentially what I'm going to say at this point is I'm drinking a pint of 11.2%, and I'm going to pour the rest of this bottle in after that pint, and I'm fucked. So,
copy that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the barrel character on your beer is too much? Is that too heavy? I like rye whiskey too, man. But I mean, when we're talking about drinking beer, we're not talking about drinking rye whiskey.
I think it's a
rye whiskey.
It tastes like about a 50-50 blend of the flavors.
Copy.
Obviously, it's not nearly as strong as a 50-50 blend of the ABVs that you would get on that.
But you're getting some very personal barrel expression off that.
It's a hefty beer with a very hefty whiskey flavor. The Old Rasputin that I know comes through it comes through on it. Like, you get that flavor, but there's definitely a lot of that rye whiskey barrel on the back end. Especially like, it's more that beer on the front, whiskey on the back. And I'm a fan. I'm a fucking fan.
Well, we've been drinking dark beer all night, ladies and gentlemen. Most of them over 8%. So we'd be a fan of about anything, right?
So how would you categorize that then? Where would that beer fit into, like, if you were?
Yeah, where you at on that one?
So in the comparison that I made, like, if you were to take these 3 beers and do one with dinner, one with dessert, and then one with a cigar or a pipe, in your case, next to a fire, how would you play them out?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty similar. I mean, Deschutes is the dinner beer. It's the lightest. It's the easiest drinking. The variation of Culminating Mass that I had is basically a s'more. So that's going with my s'mores. And then, I'm finishing out the night on this. Drink a pint of that. I don't even need the fucking cigar. Let me just sit by the fire and breathe that smoke in, and I'm going to pass the fuck out.
All right.
And we have stouts and porters on this episode, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that everybody knows that when we judge these things. In terms of anything, the North Coast that we're drinking over here fucking rules supreme for me. I drink this beer. I drink this beer morning, noon, and night. I shouldn't drink this beer morning and night, but this is fucking.
Yep.
This is definitely my top beer of the night too.
This is top beer
of the night by far.
I do not disagree.
Old Rasputin. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Sláinte.
North Coast Brewing. You guys have been doing this for a long time. I think your Scrimshaw Pilsner is one of the best. You guys kill it. This is a great beer. Obviously, I'd drink Deschutes Black Butte Porter with dinner all night long. I'd certainly fucking have dessert. That Baltic Porter was dope. Breakside is killing it.
Oh, those guys are so good.
Again, we drank different beers than Josh, and I Breakside. I encourage you to just don't put the mallow in there, dude. Just fucking go ahead and roll with what you got. It's a good beer. We drank.
How can I have some more of something if I haven't even had anything yet? You're killing me, Smalls.
I think that Black Butte Porter is one of the most classic representations of American dark beer, so I'm not going to shit talk it. But North Coast Brewing reigns supreme here in the beers that we drank tonight, without a fucking doubt.
For stylistic
accuracy and pleasure of drinking.
Oh, North Coast Brewing, the Russian Imperial, this Old Rasputin is,
I mean, I've always.
But you're absolutely right. For American dark beer, it doesn't really get much better than the Black Butte.
We've talked about Godfather beers before, and I will never take anything away from Deschutes Brewing. They do a great job. And I will never take anything away from Breakside because I know the people that are there, and that beer was dope. Honestly, we drank 3 very good dark beers tonight. We really did. And we honestly, to pat our own selves on the ass, we represented them in the perfect order. If you want to get into dark beer, I would not grab a bottle before Deschutes Black Butte Porter. It is OG. If you want to talk about dark beer, I'd look at some breweries that are doing things like Breakside Brewing because they're crushing it. Not just in dark beer, but in every beer. But that was a fine Baltic Porter. And Baltic Porter is what I kind of these days, right or wrong, contend to be my porter. I like it. It's a little sweeter. It's a little chewier. It's a little higher in alcohol because of the classical transportation issue that was presented to those brewers. But it's also clean as fuck because it matures. They set that beer down to mature. And the barrel character on that beer was unreal because it was just so subtle. But then we drank this. This is dry
this old
and roasty and nasty and dirty and coffee and chocolate. And there's red fruit, but it's not ethanol red fruit. It's not nail polish. There's some fig to this. There's some orange marmalade to this. And then there's just some big, dirty, high alcohol stout to this. This is a perfectly crafted ale, which means I'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 because nothing reaches 5 for me unless I'm on the floor seizing and convulsing.
A 5
this
is
a
perfection, and it's hard
this
to
is 5-ish. This is 5-ish. This is a goddamn
If someone
good beer.
out there can brew a beer that when I take a sip of it makes me orgasm, you get a 5.
This is goddamn good beer, North Coast. And we've drank a lot of big beers before this, so grain of salt. But the balance on this beer is the most eloquent we've drank tonight, and we've drank some good balanced beers. We really have. After the
show is over, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, CJ and I are going to split a bottle of Pliny the Elder.
Pliny, we'll make a mini for that one.
We might keep that on we might keep this recording going.
If you thought I was on a tangent before, you can't fucking wait till I start drinking some balanced double IPA.
I will say on my end, drinking different beers. Obviously, Black Butte Porter is just Black Butte Porter. Great fucking beer, solid standard. But between the version of Breakside that I had and the version of North Coast that I had, because they were obviously both significantly changed from the original version of the beer.
Yes.
One aged in rye whiskey barrels, one with marshmallows and cocoa nibs. I think one of them did a really good job of balancing those flavors and not overdoing it, and one of them made it way, 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 way too sweet. And I don't think it's a surprise which one I think is which. The Russian Imperial with rye whiskey barrels balanced better than marshmallow and cacao nibs with a stout.
On the head-to-head, I think we all agree North Coast Brewing was the one we enjoyed the most this evening.
Yeah.
I think they were all good beers. I think we all think they were all very good beers. Josh drank some pretty heady adjunct infused beers, and that's the unfortunate downside where areas like this are just expected to get like the baseline beers, and areas that are more craft brew present like Bend and Portland tend to get more of these adjunct heavier beers, you know what I mean? Because there's less transportation time, there's less chance for things to go bad. Well, they're small batches and they're being distributed to the States. But I think it's a good lesson to brewers out there, pro or homebrew or want to become one or the other. There's a very long tradition of brewing in this world, right? Every culture has done it, and every culture has made something beautiful. And then we came out with these flavorings and these additives and these ideas. Like, have creativity, but look at it within the scope of what you're working with first before you have to reach for a vial that says,
should be working with.
Take flavor seriously. It's not just a gimmick.
Yeah.
There are ways to make beautiful beer with a very simple process. There are ways to make beautiful sake, beautiful wine, beautiful whiskey with a very simple process. And there is room to expand. There is room to introduce your creativity. I don't believe, take this with a grain of salt or whatever you want to take it with, that it comes from a vial with a dropper bottle. And I'm not saying that's what Breakside did either.
But that's why
I'm just saying that there's this culture of flavoring that is not necessary in beer. Beer provides flavoring. Fermentation provides flavoring.
That's why, the process has gone marginally unchanged for a good amount of time. The only thing that's
at least a century.
Yeah, at least a century. So the only thing that's honestly gotten better is our science and understanding of certain things, which is still expanding every day, and the equipment has gotten a little bit nicer and a little bit cleaner.
And the products, we know how to grow barley better than we've ever known how to grow barley before. We know how to
the process of heating water, applying that heated water to a set of grains that have been milled, that have been malted or roasted at a certain temperature, that when you put them together and get a certain temperature, you boil that solution, add a little bit more water, and you've got good fucking beer.
Right. I don't begrudge anyone who wants to reach for the stars in terms of their flavor. I think the idea of a s'more stout sounds fucking fantastic.
But there's a way to do it without
to do it without dosing, without changing, without straying from the beer as it is.
You and I had this conversation very early on in like my home brewing. They're like, if you want like chocolate and marshmallow. There's no reason to put chocolate and marshmallow like into
There's
your mash.
a way to do it, homie.
You can find that combination in grains and hops and yeast and how those three things interact with each other.
And the easy way out is the easy way out. Josh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, buddy. Go ahead, Josh.
No worries. To Breakside's credit, they didn't just fucking put a vial of chocolate and a vial of marshmallow into their beer.
Yes.
They actually used marshmallows and cacao nibs in their beer to make that s'more flavor, which is a lot better.
To their credit, that's amazing. I've also been the cellar guy who's had to scoop out marshmallows out of a fermenter, and it's the fucking worst goddamn job you'll ever have to have.
Fucking imagine.
You know what? Even after just using a little bit of cacao nibs here on that porter that I made, what a fucking mess what a nightmare it was to get the fucking drainage to come off.
We drank the base beer of Breakside's, and you drank the infused, if you will. It's a bad term, but you know what I mean. Yeah. The base beer was outstanding. It was an outstanding Baltic Porter. I am not in any way railing against Breakside Brewing or any other brewery for what they're doing. I'm railing against the community. Reject the idea that you need to have a beer that's dossied up for you. If you don't like beer, you don't like beer. That's fine. You want to come into a craft brewery, we're working with organic products. We're working with products that came from the ground and the soil up to make real flavor. We'll talk to you about it. And we'll steer you in the right direction.
It's like I'm pretty sure you can get like a marshmallow chocolate flavor out of combining maybe a little bit of midnight wheat, a little bit of chocolate malt, probably some honey malt, a little bit of wheat malt, and it's going to probably play.
It'll make something tasty. I'll tell you that much for sure.
Well, I'll say
North Coast, again, I'm giving you a shout out. I'm sipping this. This is a good goddamn stout.
Josh, as a bartender. Sorry, man.
No worries.
Go ahead.
I'm sitting here drinking fucking heavy beer, so fuck it. But no, as a bartender, like, if you don't like the flavor of beer, if you're looking for that certain flavor in a beer and you can't find it, don't fucking order beer. Because I can promise you, as a bartender at a full bar, if you want a marshmallow s'more flavor, I will make you the best fucking martini you've ever had in your entire life. If you want a super berry heavy flavor, I can make you something that's, fuck it. If you need it, I will make you something gluten-free, huckleberry flavored, or whatever it is you want. If you want these different things, experiment with different alcohols. Don't try to force one style of alcohol to fit your narrative.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden, like, you've got your bartenders being like, if you just order like a pound bucket of like coconut oil, I can use that in the martini. It's like, no, bitch, you're going to fucking use, what's that, whipped cream vodka? I forget the name of it. And
we don't have that in my bar. I don't fucking need that to make a good drink.
Good for you. Good for you.
See? There's other ways to do it.
I made an Irish coffee martini the other day. It tasted like a fucking Irish coffee, but cold and as a martini. And what did I need for it? Nothing fucking special. Nothing you couldn't find at any fucking dive bar.
There has been an association in our culture since the first time somebody decided rather than eat a raw piece of meat, I'm going to throw it on the fire and fucking char that shit for a hot second. There has been an association with flavor in our culture. And I mean the human culture, wherever you started out, whatever continent you started out on. There's been an association with good flavor. We've been doing this for a long time. We got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And then we got to a society that wanted to say, like, we want this the easy way.
People got to know where to stop.
And then we taught ourselves how to cheat on these flavors. They don't need to be cheated on.
They don't.
Every beer we drank tonight proves, every beer we drank tonight proves they don't need to be cheated on. There is accessibility to everything out there in terms of flavor. And we taught ourselves, especially in this country, that just like there's just a few ways to do things. There's not a million ways.
If
to do
you
things.
Want a fucking
they all produce different
flavored
flavors.
Alcoholic drink, you can have that without having to drink beer. Not everyone who drinks beer like you can make beer and make s'mores alcohol.
Is listening to the people that come up to the bar and be like, "What do you have on tap that's like Blue Moon?" How about Blue Moon? Because I've got nothing craft-wise that tastes anything like it.
Right. It's like anything, like the grocery revolution that happened before. We have to train people again, retrain people that honest, true flavors are out there, and they taste good. Human beings have this subset where we find something we like and we want to stick with it. Josh, I get it. Corona's great. But
Sierra Nevada, buddy. Sierra Nevada all day.
It does what it does.
I love Corona. Right? It kills people.
Actually,
it shuts countries
anyone
down.
who
fucking wrong Corona.
Makes me drunk.
Anyone who repeats the fact that I actually said Corona is great on this podcast can go fucking suck a dick.
It's too late, dude. The episode's not over.
It means
we're not cutting that out.
It means what it means. It
There's
does what it does.
He's got the sign.
I know what he's fucking doing. What I meant by that is that you can have
that
just
you
things
like
that
Corona,
you like.
And that's okay.
I'll drink it on a hot day for sure. The minute it warms up, it tastes like my own urine. But I'll drink it on a hot day.
I don't want to know why you know what your own urine tastes like.
I don't want to remember why I remember that. It was a desert island. It was a tough time.
So then I thought you didn't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Then why are you bringing it up?
The point is, like what you like and learn to like things outside your perspective. There's great things happening all the time. We don't need to get locked in this thing of this is one way to do shit. There's a million ways to do shit.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
There's more than one way to skin a cat, and most cats need to be skinned. So,
Okay, and with that...
And on that note, was this a dark beer tasting episode?
This was a dark beer tasting episode.
Gentlemen, do we feel sufficiently toasted?
Yeah.
I'm toasted. I'm fucking toasted.
All right. To those of you out there listening, all 13 of you, there's something happening here.
Oh, we're totally getting copyrighted for this one.
Oh, we're going to get fucked, dude. We're going to get so fucked. Great song, though.
I feel like it's topically appropriate.
Yep.
By the way, Candlebox just did a cover of this, and it was awesome.
Was it really?
It was amazing.
Candlebox is still a band?
I mean,
right.
they were quarantined, but yes, they did this. And I was actually blown away. He did a really good job. The whole band did. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who this is, Buffalo Springfield wants to remind you that for what it's worth,
if everybody's wrong, young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and a carrying signs. Mostly say hooray for our side. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life, it will creep. Starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the man come and take